What's going on, everyone, and welcome back to the channel. In this video we're going to get the 500 cubic inch big block running that we finished long blocking in our last video. Now if you haven't seen that video, go ahead and click right here and that'll actually take you to the video so you can stay up to date with everything we've done so far. Now as always, before we jump into the content, don't forget to subscribe for more content like this and leave a like down below. And as always, let's jump into it. Alright, so for our first step, we're going to go ahead and use this special tool here that's designed out of a distributor that's basically connected to the oil gear below, which turns the oil pump and builds oil pressure inside the motor. Before, starting a motor like this that's freshly built and everything, you want to make sure that there's enough oil pressure and everything is cohesive inside the motor. So let's go ahead and we're going to start building up oil pressure, making sure that's good, and then we can go from there. Alright, so basically what we do here is we use the drill to turn the tool, and then that's going to start building oil pressure. So let's go ahead and start using that, and then we can go ahead and see if we have oil pressure. Alright, so that looks all good. We're building about 70 pounds of oil pressure, so that means we're all good here. There's no visible leaks or anything on the motor, so everything there looks kosher. At this point now, what we're going to do is we're going to put the MSD distributor inside the motor, get all that hooked up, and next we can start timing the motor and get this thing started. So let's do that. Alright, so we got our distributor installed in the motor now. Now before we actually hook up the ignition wires and turn this thing over, we want to make sure that the motor has proper fuel. We did just recently redo my fuel line with 1/2-inch stainless steel braided fuel line, and we did actually redo my battery system as well. So now this is our new terminal here to hook up in the front with all of our positives and negatives, and this fuel line follows through the back into our new setup for the fuel, which I think is really cool. So we went ahead and redid the line back here, so you can see it goes to my fuel pump. Now this is a 120 gallons per hour Edelbrock high performance fuel pump that goes up into the front of the car. And we did recently redo my battery setup as well. So we got a battery mount as well as a switch. So we have all this wired up here. And I think this turned out really cool. This is a Joe's Racing product switch. So this is just a cutoff switch, in case of anything, of course. And you can actually see the wiring up and through here. So it is really cool how all this turned out. Now at this point we just want to go ahead and make sure everything is good with the car. So let's go ahead and check our fuel lines, run some fuel pressure, and if all that looks good, we can go from there. Alright, so when we went to go start the car, we actually had quite a few fuel leaks in my lines. Now, I looked at some of the fittings and I bought some of the lower end fittings which really didn't work out too well. They're having a bunch of leaking issues, and actually bought several sets of the same ones and they seem to still be leaking. So what we did is we went ahead and we picked up some new fittings for the fuel system. Now these are going to be all Fragola fittings. These are one of the best ones on the market from what I've researched, so hopefully we won't have any fuel leaking through the threads or anything like that. Again, it was really strange. Some of the fittings that I had before just couldn't seem to seal. So went ahead and did all Fragola fittings. So we're going to go ahead and at this point install all the fittings into the carburetor, and then we're going to redo our fuel line and try to go from there and see if we have any leaks. So let's go ahead and do that and we can go from there. Alright, so we got the fittings on the end of our fuel lines here. The next step to finish the fitting itself is to go ahead and install this portion into your hose inside the fitting. Now one thing is you want to make sure that your hose doesn't deviate or basically separate from the flushness inside the fitting itself. So to do that, you just take a Sharpie and you mark the end here where your fitting is, and that'll tell you if your fuel line moved out at all when pressing this in. So now we're going to press these into the end of our fittings, and then our fuel line will basically be made. So let's go ahead and do that. Alright, so we went ahead and we got our fuel lines ran. Everything is all buttoned up, and we just did our tests and everything is good. There's no leaks, so these Fragola fittings definitely saved the day. So shout out to Fragola. If you guys are looking for AN fittings, I would definitely recommend this brand. Now let's go up to the front here as well, so we can see my setup for my carburetor here. Again, these are all Fragola fittings, so this really turned out awesome with the black and stainless steel finish. So yeah, now at this point we're going to go ahead and hook up the distributor, and then we can start turning the motor over and see if we get this thing to fire up. So let's go there. Alright, so we went ahead and we got the distributor cap put on with all the wires running down to our spark plugs. Everything is ready to go, and the distributor is pointed at top dead center. Now down here with our harmonic balancer, you can actually see that it's pointed down at top dead center. So when this thing starts, we should be ready to rock. So we're going to go ahead and start turning this thing over, and let's hear this thing run. right, so we got the motor running. This thing is insane. I mean, the ISKY cam, when this thing's sitting there idling, the whole car is just like shaking and rocking, and it's just, this thing wants to go. We did take it for a small drive, about 5 to 8 miles, just to kind of break in the rotating assembly a little bit. And I'm telling you, when this thing starts to get into that power band of 3,000 RPMs, you can feel the internals and that cam just want to take off. So I'm super excited to see what this thing's going to do in the quarter mile. I'm hoping low 10s or even high 9s with this current setup. But as always, thank you guys for supporting this project and for supporting the channel. This has been a long journey to get this motor running and put in this car, and there's still a ton left to do. So as always, hit subscribe for more content in the future, and I'll see you guys in the next one.